So get all your things ready. I did start this once already and then forgot to switch the video on. So I've got some things already done. So I took my ethyl starter out of the actual starter pot rather than make a levain, and it's here because it had risen enough and I was up in time to do it. Otherwise you would make a levain first, which is what these are. So I've gone a little bit over, but that's fine, just don't go under. It's 150 of starter. Then I zero my thing, I change my units to water, and I add 275 of water. This water's a bit murky because I just put my sourdough tools in it. So here we go, 275 of water. With the water, I never go over. If anything, I do go a little bit under sometimes, so that's a little bit over, so I am going to take some of that out. So that's just 10 mils of water. Now, you don't need to do it with one of these, but it is handy, especially if you have arthritis in your hands like I do. Then we're going to mix that in. The water is slightly tepid and it's filter water. Tap water seems to interfere with the rise here. Try and be consistent with the type of flour you use until you get used to it. Right, that's quite watery now. Okay, looking, can you see? So I'm just going to zero the scales again. Can you see that? And then we're going to go back onto grams. And now the flour. So it's 425 of flour. What I like to do is to mix a malted or a grain or a whole wheat. Hang on, it's gone dodgy again. Zero again, come on. In with the whites. So I'm going to do about a third of this. Just over 100 grams. And then lift it up to 425 with the white flour. Strong white bread flour with a high protein content works well. The recipe I'm using is one from Marks and Spencer's bread flour, which seems to work really well for me. So let's make this up to 425. Please excuse my voice on here because I'm not used to talking on these things. So I've gone a little bit over. That'll be okay. I can take some of that out. Scoop. Let's get that right. Usually I wouldn't mind so much, but seeing them trying to do this on here. Once you get used to it, it's all about what it looks like and the feel for it. So what we're going to do is we're now going to mix this in. Now you do need to add salt. I haven't forgotten the salt, but we're going to leave this for half an hour before we add the salt. It just helps the dough to blend. So we will add the salt in about half an hour. So I'm going to use this again for mixing the dough. You can get your hands in there if you want, but like I said, with my arthritis this is so much easier. Now just make sure it gets a bit stiff, that you pick up all the dry flour bits as much as you can. Getting sticky, just flip it around. There we go, that's about right. So we're just gonna scrape all that off, and now we're gonna cover it with a wet cloth, tea towel, muslin, whatever you've got like that, and let that rest for half an hour. Then we're going to add the salt, and then we're going to mix that in again. Then we're going to let it rest for another half an hour, and that's when we start our stretch and folds. So with this recipe, it's 8 grams of salt, which I'm just shaking in now. I'm going to use the dough stick again. Again, you can use your hands for this. Like I said, I'm just going to fold that in. You can see it's starting to change texture very slowly. Now, the next thing we're going to do, once this is fully incorporated in, is leave it for another half an hour. Alexa, timer for half an hour.
Good morning, Nicola. 30 minutes, starting now.
So I need to put a timer on because I have got a bad memory. So then we're going to wet our towel, which I should have had done already, but I haven't. Now, you can buy speciality muslins and things for this, but I found if you go to the baby aisle of a big supermarket, you'll get baby muslin, and you'll get 4 in a pack for the price of 1 in the cooking aisle. So we just wet these, that's why there's rabbits on it. Leave it for half an hour, then we'll do our stretch and folds. So while that's waiting, we will wash up. Now, one thing about the washing up is you either need to scrape it all off and bin it, or scrape off as much as you can and bin it, and then soak it in some hot soapy water so it's completely diluted before down the drain. Otherwise you will block your drains. The first timer is finished, and as you can see it's starting to look glossy. I'm going to wet my hands because that makes it easier. And what we're going to do is stretch and fold. So we're going to lift it up from one edge, stretch it up, you see that, and fold it over. Turn the bowl, stretch it up, and fold it over. Turn the bowl, stretch it up, and fold it over. Again, turn, stretch, and fold. The minimum you need to do is 4. You can do a few more, which I'm going to do. It just feels a little sticky, which means it could be a little wet, but it doesn't matter too much. Okay, there we go. I'm going to cover it over and give it another half an hour. As you can see, it's getting glossy and smooth. So this is a turn number 2. Stretch and fold, stretch and fold, stretch. As you can see, it's got a bit stiffer. Fold, fold, scoop all that up, fold. Now we'll leave that again for another half hour. So this is going to be my 4th and final fold. Then it's going to get left till this evening, where it should have more than doubled in size. So this is fully risen. Now we're going to get this out. With our hands, stretch this out, that's when it will belong. Or rectangle, whatever you want to call it. See how nice and stretchy that is. Then I'm going to fold over, turn it, fold over. I'm going to pull these and crisscross, crisscross, crisscross. Grab that, fold that over, roll it up and bring it forward. Now we're going to do the fold and roll, fold and roll, push and pull, 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 the flower, push and pull. There's nice tension in that. It's a nice flower dough banneton. I'm just going to shape that a little bit for the banneton because it's a long one. Pop that in there, and that will go in the fridge overnight, covered. This is once we've done all the stretch and folds, the bulk rise, and then the shaping. It's been added to its banneton, which has been floured, and this has been like this for about an hour and a half, and it's risen. So now I'm just going to chill it for another 10-15 minutes, however long it takes for my oven to heat up. And then, so this is my parchment paper. I'm just going to get out my hot pot now and pop that on the side. Remember how hot this is, you might need a board or something under it. It'll stay hot while I just prep this sourdough. That sizzle is there's some water on the board. So this is our sourdough. The refrigeration has just made it a nice and firm. So I do it this way. Put it on my non-stick parchment. That should have been a bit more that way, but never mind. Take that out of there. A little bit sticky, this one. That's it. So there we have it. Brush it with as much or little flour as you want, or semolina. Now we're going to take one of these cutting tools, but before I had this I did just use a sharp pair of scissors, and you're going to score it. This is a simple basic score, just curving around the edge, and this allows for the skin to rise and give you that nice little leaf that we have here on one that's already been eaten. And then you can do as many fancy patterns as you want. I don't do that much really. Okay, so now I'm going to get lifted with this into here like that, and I will put my gloves on. This lid is very hot. Some people do put extra ice cubes in, but I don't, because that creates enough steam. Then it's going to go in the oven for 30 minutes. I set my oven to fan oven, and I set it to the hottest temperature to get it hot. And I put the dish on sort of mid to low in the oven, just so I can get the lid on and off. I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm doing a long loaf today, so I'm using a long Dutch oven, but any pot, cast iron pot that will withstand the temperature, or ceramic pot that will withstand the temperature with a lid on is perfectly usable, or a pizza stone, just something that will withstand the temperature. I'll leave a tray underneath because halfway through the cooking we're going to add water. So my oven is at temperature now. My light's gone out, so I'm going to get this out and show you what we do next. So I'm halfway through my time. What I'm going to do is just turn down my oven to 200, open it up, take the lid off very carefully, and you will see it's nice and risen in there. So now what I'm going to do is just add some water in the bottom to create a little bit more steam, give it a crust, and then close that up. So now it's closed. I'm going to let that cook for another 30 minutes. So the time's up, and I'm just going to turn the heat off And we'll leave the light on a minute so you can see. And that's it done in there. I'm just going to lift it out. Oh. And there we have our loaf. Now, for each oven, the temperatures will be slightly different. Lovely jubbly. So from this oven, I've had to reduce my original times a little bit because it gets a lot hotter. So it's a little bit of trial and error with the timings of how golden and crispy you want the top.